my YouTube channel, and today's lesson is about writing our hundreds in a decimal form. With us here, we have a grid of 100 squares. As you can see here, if we count all these squares in this grid are 100. To prove it, let's count the number of squares going on the right and going downwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. These are 10. Going downwards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 times 10, it's 100. Therefore, in this grid, we have 100 squares. Out of the 100 squares, one has been shaded here. To write it as a fraction, how many parts or how many squares are shaded in this grid? It's 1 out of all these squares, and all these squares are 100. Therefore, this takes us back to fractions. Fractions and decimals are related. This fraction to be written in words is 100. Hundreds. As you can see the spelling here, it's different from 100 to hundredth. Meaning it is a very small portion. You can imagine if this was a cake, and out of all this big cake, you are only getting this portion. And whatever you are getting is what we call 100. This now takes us to decimal places. This one can as well be written as a decimal place. In our previous lesson, when we learned about writing 1/10 as a decimal, we said that 1/10 in words is called a tenth. And as a decimal is written as 0.1. And we said that at the decimal place here, or after the decimal point, is called decimal point. After the decimal point, the first digit on the right is its place value is tenth. Tenth, not tenth, tenth. So this is 1/10. When it's over 100, 1/100 in words is written as 100. And the decimal is going to be 0. It can't be 0.1 because 0.1 is a tenth. 0.1 is a tenth. Therefore, we don't have tenths here. So we replace the tenth with a 0 and then 1 there. Because the first digit here, its place value is tenths. Then the second digit goes to 100. 100. Therefore, this is 100th. 100th. So it has to be on the 100th position. So where we have tenth, we have 0. Because we don't have tenths here. And again, where we have now 100th, we put 1 because 1/100. 1/100, which is 100th. What if now more parts are shaded? Like, let's continue. Let's add more parts that are shaded. These are how many parts? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are 6 out of 100 parts or squares. So 6 squares out of 100 squares in this grid are shaded. To write this one as a decimal, first of all write it in words, which is 6 hundredths. Because it's out of 100 parts, so 6 hundredths. To write it as a decimal is going to be 0.06. Why are we putting 0 here? Because this 6 is out of, it's 100th. Its place value is on the 100th part, not on the 10th. That's why on the 10th we put a 0 because we don't have tenths. We only have 100ths. What about if we shade more portions or more squares in this grid? Let's shade more. have been shaded. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So to write that one as a fraction is 21 out of 100. Therefore, 21 out of 100 in what can be written as 21 hundredths. To write this one as a decimal is going to be 0 point. Now this one here takes the place value of 100ths and this one of tenths. Therefore, it's going to be 2, 1. This is the tenths and this is the 100ths. Remember, we start counting the place value immediately after the decimal point. So after the decimal point on the right, the first digit, its place value is not ones. We don't have ones here. So we have tenths. And not tenths, it's tenth. So this 2 is tenths and this one is 100ths. And that's how we are supposed to write in terms of decimal point. Let's get more examples and we try to write them as decimals. In this question, we have been told that we write each as a decimal. To begin with our first question, which is 500ths. 500ths is in words. As fraction, it's 5 over 100. This 500ths. Therefore, as a decimal point, it's going to be 0.05. Remember, if you write it like this, 0.5, this is not 500ths, this is 5 tenths, because it stands the position of tenth. Therefore, to write it as 100ths, for tenths, we don't have anything. It should be 5 100. So this is tenth, and this is, its place value is 100. Therefore, 500ths is written as in the decimal point 0.05. Let's work out our second question. That 600ths as a fraction, it means 36 out of 100. And as a decimal, it's going to be 0.36. So these are 600ths. The 36 here, 3 takes the place of 10, and 6 takes the place of 100ths. Remember, we said that at the decimal point, we don't have ones, we have tenths and then 100ths. Let's do our that example. 10 100ths. As a fraction, it's 10 out of 100. And as a decimal, it's going to be 0.10. This 10 100ths. Let's do our next question, which is 900ths. 900 as a fraction, it's 9 out of 100. And the decimal is going to be 0.09. If you write it as 0.9, you are wrong, because this one as a fraction, it's 9 over 10, which is a 10th, 9 tenth. 9 tenth. Therefore, there's a difference between this and this. So this means 900ths, because this 9 stands in the position of 100ths. I wish you the best, and kindly remember to subscribe, press the notification bell, share with friends, and also practice. Remember, practice makes perfect. Thank you for watching. Bye.